Hey everybody, this is Buck. This is Tattoos in Review. Thank you for stopping by. We're down at RC's Tattoo in Delco, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. We're here at one of the original tattoo shops in the Philadelphia area. We're gonna go inside, we're gonna do a little history lesson with my guy, RC, the owner of RC's Tattoo. Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to the interview portion of the show today. We have RC, the owner of Tattoos by RC. Thank you for doing this, man. Much appreciated. I know you're busy and you took the time out of your day to do this for me, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you.
Let's get into it. How long have you been tattooing?
This is my 41st year.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, started in 1982.
What made you want to get into tattooing?
To be honest with you, I didn't like tattoos as a teenager. I thought they were cartoony looking. You know, guys, most people around here had just lick'em stick'ems, you know.
Yeah.
Ever go down the city and get this one and get that one and this one and that one. And I thought it looked cheesy. When I was 18, I met a guy who had some really cool artwork. So I got my first one, I drew it, went down and saw Coney and Joe in Camden, did my first tattoo. And as he was starting to do it, I'm like, I could do this. This is my calling. I felt it right then and there. And I'm like, I could be better than this guy. 20 years later, I sold him my business in South Philly. So, you know, I kind of saw it, felt it, and I felt a great plateau, you know, at that point, and that was 20 years ago.
So back then, I mean, were you into drawing? Were you into art at that point, or is it just something that hit you?
I drew as a kid, my whole life. Everything I wanted but couldn't have, I drew. With boats, motorcycles, cars, women, you know, I was drawing constantly. Right. Everybody's, remember you had to cover your school books with paper, with shopping bags, and that in a sense taught me how to do cover-up tattoos, because once I would fill up my book, I had to change the designs because ran out of space, so I would turn things into other things, and it was.
Where did you do your apprenticeship at?
Well, I was on my own for 2 years, self-taught, and I learned more in the first 2 hours at a professional studio with John Chance in Philadelphia than I did on my own, and that was really my mentor in the business was John Chance. His father taught Philadelphia Eddie how to tattoo. Okay. And they came to town. Philadelphia Eddie and Dominic Chance opened up tattoo shops on each other for 25 years. Right. You know what I mean? They'd be down south, North Carolina, Dominic opened a shop, Eddie would come down and open a shop. And they did this as a love-hate relationship for 20-some years with each other. And that's when they came to Philadelphia, it was to piss Eddie off again. Johnny opened up a Broad and Casper. He had a drinking problem and slid downhill, and I came along, got involved with him, and then he opened up a shop on 624 South 3rd Street. I had gone to Florida and North Carolina and came back after a year and got involved with him there. So that was the first professional shop that you worked at? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 624 South 3rd Street. It's in between Bainbridge and South. So back in the day, and this is, I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to ask you about this, because after doing a little bit of research, I saw that there was a time where it was just you, Philadelphia Eddie, and Tattoo Harry? Yep. So that is true? Yes. Nobody else was really tolerated. So at this point, I mean, the industry's obviously changed, and it's changed in a couple different ways. And the first one I'm going to touch base on is actually the first part that you brought up. It seems to me now there are artists that are deciding to be tattoo artists instead of tattoo guys learning the craft, doing it. Yeah. It's reversed. So I would say there's so much great people tattooing these days. The art has gone to heights I've never imagined possible. And a lot of these people are college students that are studying great art. They will tattoo their way through college while chasing another plateau of art. And some of them just keep going in this profession. Today, I would say 40 years ago, there was maybe 50 people in the country that were capable of doing lifelike portraits. So that would be one per state. Right. And even that would be kind of a stretch. Today, I would say there's probably 350 people in every state that can do lifelike portraiture. So now, as far as those tattoos go, though, how do you feel that those tattoos hold up
against time. And what I mean by that is if you go the old school route with a thick line, heavy,
solid color,
right,
bold will hold is the old saying.
Right, compared to now you have the thin line, very intricate, tons of detail. Like the way I look at it, I almost see that as going, in 10 years, that's going to look like a blotch on your arm. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the impression that I get.
I would say it all depends on your flesh. Do you expose it to sun, salt water, and chlorine every summer and spring? Okay, because are you a drinker and a smoker? Because that takes a beating on your flesh. If you take care of yourself and you lotion up all the time, and I preach this, but as you can tell, I don't. but to me, you get a tattoo and it marks a spot of your life. I can look back and remember every piece on me and what was going on in my life, and that's what they are, the little reminders of where your head was at that day, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
That's exactly how it is for me.
Right.
It's almost like there's a moment in time that I go.
There's snapshots.
Right.
So, like, look at your demon on your arm there. That's a lifer. That you'll be able to look at this 40 years from now and know what you're looking at.
Awesome.
Okay. But I have a Jesus head here that Jack Rudy did. That is tiny. That was done 25 years ago. All single needle, black and gray work, and it still looks like Jesus. Is it as sharp as it was back then? No. But you know what you're looking at. Yeah. I have a saying, if you look at a tattoo and you have to explain what it is, two people fucked up. The guy that decided to get it and the guy that did it. So bigger, to me, is better.
Yeah.
Bold will hold. Black and gray reality work is a lot to be said for it. And if you get that kind of work in portraiture, they look good for many years.
Okay.
You can't put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bucket. You end up with 5 pounds of shit somewhere that you didn't want it.
So the other thing that I've also noticed too is the evolution of machines.
Yes.
The machines have changed to the point where now I feel like the tattoo machines are quieter, and mentally it makes me feel like it doesn't hurt as bad.
It doesn't feel like a tattoo studio anymore. You would come in here and you would
smell
hear
that.
Yeah. And when the first person in my studio started working with a rotary, I'd be back here working, and I would hear her talking to a customer. And I'm like, she needs to fucking start tattooing. What is she doing? And I would look out, and she was tattooing.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear the buzzing. Because you would come into a studio and you hear buzzing, and you're like, it's the sound of money. It's the sound of money, because the louder it gets, that means there's more people getting ink. I go back to when we made our own needles and mixed our own ink. Made our own tattoo machines.
Wow.
And everything had to be cleaned, scrubbed, bagged, and then put into a sterilizer. So you spent 5 to 10 hours a week just on that needle process. Nowadays, with a cartridge that pops into a machine that's very quiet and works greatly, needs really no attention. Yeah, I'd rather have some small Asian kid in China die from lead poisoning soldering these things together than me. This is how I see it.
You just actually brought that up about the ink, and I didn't even think about that. I've only been around the tattoo scene, I guess, probably since the early 90s. And to me, it was always the guy just grabbed the bottle and went. And now you're saying that, and I'm getting a little history lesson, which is fantastic. But I didn't know that you guys had to do that. At one point, I think I maybe had heard that there was where you guys had to do your own needles and stuff like that. But I guess I didn't register about the ink part.
Yeah. Okay, so you would buy... Back then we used Pelican drawing ink, all right? And a funny story goes along with that, because Pelican made 2 types of ink. One was a white label, one was a yellow label. And Johnny did tattoos for 4 weeks on people with the wrong ink, because he sent his wife out to get it. And the problem with it was water soluble.
Oh.
So the body absorbed all the ink, and people came back in with these tattoos that had just color, and all the black work would be gone. So he spent the next 2 weeks repairing stuff. But we would buy powdered ink by the pound, and then it was a mess. So we would rent a hotel room somewhere and bring a blender, and made a mess in a hotel room. It was cheaper to just leave ink everywhere.
See, I just, it's so cool to do this with somebody like you that has the knowledge and the history of it. Whereas I'm going to get these nuggets and take them along on my journey, however this show goes, and understand that now. Yeah. I mean, it's very cool to see the history of it and understand, because I think now we're in a day and age where everything has got to be instant gratification. It's so quick. It's got to be, I want it now.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon Prime.
And to be honest with you, I feel like that's kind of where people have this misinterpretation of tattoos where they think they can just walk into a shop and be like, oh, that's only going to cost me $500. And they don't think about the art and the time and effort it took to get to that part, where I actually had an interview with a guy, and he explained to me how he'll go home and work on an iPad and to build you know what I mean? And that's
what they all do now.
Right.
I don't, but I will give a design to to my girl and say, hey, can you turn this into something for me? Because I'm like a techno-tard. I have like no desire to really want to learn it, but like I watch, I pay attention. But as it is now, so I'm also from the era of when we used acetate, plastic acetate scribed stencils. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but these old designs up here, when you picked one of them out, the reason they were very simple was because your stencil process was black graphite powder shaken onto a plastic scribed piece of acetate. They would pour it on there, go like that, and then whatever stuck in the lines was your tattoo stencil. Your arm got shaved, they spread a thin coating of Vaseline and then pressed this on there and lifted it off. So they have graphite laying on top of Vaseline. So as I'm tattooing, that's why you have to start at the lower right and work your way up. Because every time you wipe, you didn't
see the wipe off the, yeah,
but it would happen. So that's why when you see these old guys with these big blotchy tattoos and people are like, man, that don't look that good. And it probably never looked good, because most of these guys that tattooed in the 20s, 30s, and 40s were just guys that were taught the technical application of putting a tattoo on, but really weren't artists.
Right.
Most of them worked with just black, green, and red.